let's begin. Topic of today's video is how to not lose muscle while cutting. My name's Daniel. I post daily bodybuilding tips, and if you don't know me already, here's my transformation. I went from having this weird androgynous, out of shape physique coming out of COVID. I didn't train at all, crazy eye bags, no appeal. And then in a matter of 2 to 3 years, boom, big tries, wide back, high appeal. So, in this video, I'll show you how to not lose muscle while cutting because I noticed after speaking to a lot of my friends in the gym, they all have this problem. They lose a lot of mass while they're cutting, and it results in them stopping the cut because they're scared of losing even more muscle. But every single time I cut, to be honest with you, I feel like I'm building muscle. So, let's begin. First method, first point. Change up your routine accordingly. On a cut, there are many variables that we'll have to change because we have less food. Less food means less fuel. Less fuel is less energy, so we have to basically optimize our routine in order to fit in our recovery demands and our new energy storage, etc., etc. So, four things. RESI is the acronym. R-E-S-I. R. Let's begin. R stands for reps. On a cut, you want your reps to decrease. Decrease your reps mostly on most movements because they will cause less fatigue. Less fatigue means you have more energy to output the same amount of muscular stimulus. Okay? So what I'm trying to say by this is when we train a little bit in the lower reps, so let's say we're dropping off nothing crazy. Let's say before we were doing 10 to 12 reps on the shoulder raise, we may now do 8 to 10. So we're not going crazy down. We're not doing 4 reps on a lat raise, right? We're not doing that. We're just dropping our reps a little bit because we're not able to recover from the high reps well enough because we have less food in our system. We have less fuel. So drop off your reps a little bit. And that's the first way of how you can adjust accordingly to not lose muscle while cutting. Because you're going to be outputting the same amount of muscular stimulus with better results because less fatigue means more recovery, means less muscle lost. Okay? So that's number one, reps. Decrease your reps. Now, number two, exercise. Now you're going to think that I'm going to say change up your whole routine whilst you're cutting. Not exactly. You see, we want to minimize mostly our compound work because compounds are super high demand and they require a lot of exertion and we don't have this energy to be throwing around on a cut when we have less fuel. So cut off your compounds maybe by 50%. So decrease, let's say you were doing 4 sets of squats before on the bulk. You were doing 3 sets of squat on the maintenance. So we're going to go from the bulk, decrease 50%. We're now doing 2 sets. So we went from 4 sets to 2 sets. And I'm talking compound work here. You see now, in terms of the actual exercises, if they're not a compound exercise, do not change them. Okay? So we want to be decreasing our compound exercise volume, of course, because they're high demand. We don't have that energy to be sparing. So decrease by 50% approximately. But on exercises like a preacher curl, bicep curl, anything like that, where you're isolating the muscle, keep it the same. Do not change the exercises. The more you start to fiddle with your routine, the more muscle you're going to lose because your body's used to this stimulus that it was getting on the bulk. Remember this. What builds you the muscle on the bulk will keep you the muscle on the cut. You don't have to be changing exercises extremely. Now, of course, decrease your compound work by a little bit, but if it's an isolation exercise, keep it the same, okay? Please, just listen to me. So many people change up their whole routine and they lose muscle. And it's like you're just asking yourself to lose muscle when you try to change everything. So that's exercise. So we have reps, decrease, exercises, stay the same, except for compounds, decrease. Now, S stands for sets. So sets is essentially the amount of volume that we're doing. we need to decrease this volume whilst we're cutting if we want to not lose muscle. Because, like I said before, less fuel, we have less energy. We don't have energy to be throwing around a little bit here, a little bit there. No, everything has to be intentional. You cannot just think spontaneously that you're going to do 8 sets for a shoulder raise. No, we could do more like 5. Okay, we went from 8 sets, now we're doing something like 5 because that is what we can recover from efficiently in order to stimulate the muscle again. And as you already know, higher frequency, meaning how often you can train the muscle, means better muscle hypertrophy, which in this case, muscle hypertrophy is not losing muscle on a cut. So we want to decrease our volume just enough so that we can recover for the next session in time to hit the muscle, because we don't want to be doing the same volume and then dropping off our frequency. Instead, frequency stays the same and volume decreases. Okay, very simply. So that's sets. Sets decrease. Now, last point of Resi is intensity. Listen, intensity, if all other factors are changed, meaning you're decreasing your reps, you're changing your compound exercises, but your isolation exercises are staying the same, and your sets are decreasing, intensity absolutely stays the same. See, now, if you didn't change your volume, maybe then your intensity would have to be lower because you can't recover from the same amount of sets at the same intensity, but we already covered that. We already adjusted accordingly with our sets. We decreased our sets. Meaning the intensity stays the same. Train balls to the walls, train hard, and train the exact same way you trained on the bulk. Because what got you the muscle on the bulk will keep you the muscle on the cut, like I said before. So that's the first point. Change up your routine accordingly. Resi. Let's just cover that really quick. Reps, decrease. Exercises, stay the same if they're in isolation, but compound exercises, we decrease by about 50%. Sets decrease across the board, and intensity absolutely stays the same. Okay? Now, talking about intensity and talking about weight moved brings me to my next point. Do not auto-regulate. What is auto-regulate? A lot of people on a cut, they get this placebo effect. So this placebo effect is extremely powerful. They think that since they have less fuel, they're going to automatically have less strength. And they're going to start loading their machines a lot lighter. They're going to start changing up their reps, like we said before. But this is not even changing up their reps. There's not even like we're saying they're trying to load lighter to change the amount of reps that they're doing. They're going to actually load less weight and do the same amount of reps. Now, why is that? It's all because of the placebo. What they're doing is they're auto-regulating. They think that automatically they're going to be less strong, and so basically it's all in your head. It's like more like a mental block. And when you start to auto-regulate and you try to decrease your amount of weight moved, most of the time, though not always, if you can stimulate the muscle efficiently, but most of the time, you're at higher risk of losing muscle. So that's the second point. Do not auto-regulate, because a lot of it really just comes down to your head. A lot of it does when you're cutting. You're going to be exhausted, you're going to have low energy, and you're going to think that, oh, I'm not as strong, so I'm not going to load the machine. But bro, trust me, you can be even stronger on a cut. It's hard, but it is possible. Now, science guys will tell you it's not possible, but I think that a lot of it comes from your head. A lot of it is just auto-regulating. So that's point number 2. Do not load the machines less just because you think you're going to get less reps. Load the machines similar and make every session basically like a challenge to keep the same strength. Do you understand? Keep the same reps. Let's say before you were progressively overloading, right? Before you were progressively overloading, you were trying to increase your weight, increase your reps, right? Every session when you're on a bulk. Now you're also progressively overloading, but what you're overloading is you're getting more lean with the same weight. See, now you're overloading your leanness and you're getting the same weight moved. So what you're trying to do essentially every single session by not auto-regulating is you're trying to push the same amount of weight as last session all the time throughout the whole cut. Now, if you can, now eventually, okay, listen, I'm not gonna bullshit you. There will come a time when you won't be able to push the same weight per cut. It's just inherently how it works because you're gonna have less energy, less glycogen storage, but a lot of it will come from auto-regulating and just being in your head. So simply, all you have to do is make every session a challenge to maintain the same weight even whilst you're cutting. So that's point number two, do not auto-regulate. And now, the third point is learn proper nutrient timing because it matters more on a cut. So, nutrient timing. We have proteins, carbs, and fats. Most of your carbs should be consumed around your training. Most of your carbs are consumed around your training, meaning you have carbs before your training and you have carbs after your training. That's the way you should do it. Now, before your training, you keep your fats low. So we have low fats, we have high carbs, and you keep the protein relatively moderate. But save your carbs, basically, what I'm trying to say. Learn the proper nutrient timing. We need the carbs around the session to give us more energy to once, like we said before, not auto-regulate and train with the high intensity to not lose the muscle whilst we're cutting. So what I'm trying to say is learn proper nutrient timing. Around the training, we have carbs high, protein moderate, and fats low. Basically, what I'm trying to say is save your carbs. Save your carbs for your training session before and after because interestingly enough, this talk about the anabolic window, it exists. The anabolic window exists, but it's not actually for protein. It's not for protein like a lot of people think. Instead, it's for carbs. After your workout, you should consume high carbs because that has been proven to increase your performance for the next day. So, keep your carbs high around your training session. Before, carbs high. After, carbs high. So you're basically, what I'm trying to say is saving your carbs. So that's point number three, and how to not lose muscle while cutting. Learn proper nutrient timing because it matters more on a cut. It matters more when you don't have carbs, high carb meals throughout the day that regardless you'll be carved up, full of glycogen and water. You don't understand? You're going to be depleted, meaning around your training, what matters most is high carbs. That's my only point I'm trying to make with this. Around your training, before and after, high carbs. Save your carbs for the training session. That's proper nutrient timing on a bulk. Or sorry, on a cut. Oh, and just to add, keep the fats low prior to the training because what the fats do is they slow down your digestion. It's going to make it very uncomfortable to work out, if you get what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is going to be sent straight to the shitter. Okay? So keep your fats low. Because basically what I'm trying to say is we can't really afford to be having a bad training session on a cut. Sure, on a bulk, you can have a little bit of leeway. You want to ideally always have a good session, but we know some sessions are not going to be as good. But this matters a lot more on a cut because we're actually trying to not lose muscle instead of trying to gain muscle. Okay? So learn proper nutrient timing because it matters a lot more on a cut. Now, bonus, incorporate refeed days. So what is a refeed day? Refeed, if you were to get one basically synonym for refeed would mean reset, which would also mean refuel. A refeed day is when you have extra high carbs as opposed to what you would typically have. Extra high carbs, you keep the protein about the same and you keep the fat about the same. But the whole point of the refeed day is you're increasing your carbs. This will increase your glycogen. So essentially, think about like you're refueling your tank in your car. So for the next 1 to 3 days, you're gonna be full again. And boy, trust me, when you're cutting and you see the glycogen come up again and you get your muscle full, that is when you really see how you're doing with your cut because your muscle, think about your muscle like a balloon. So we have two balloons. This right here, this outside shell, is your fat. So I'm just gonna color it yellow. This is your fat. And inside, we have the muscle. Okay? So let me draw this twice over. Okay. When your glycogen is low, when you're being depleted of nutrients and of calories, of fuel essentially, your muscle will not change in size. The muscle fiber itself, at least. But the muscle, as in how much water it's holding, will change. So it will appear like it's smaller. So now when we're on a cut and we're losing fat, once we carb up, and this ring gets a lot bigger because we're filling our muscles up with water again as we consume higher carbs, then you will see your progress on the cut. You're going to see new veins, you're going to see more leanness, more sharpness, etc., etc. So, refeed days, right? On the refeed day, high carbs, moderate protein, moderate fat. A refeed is also a mental reset because on these days, when you eat at maintenance calories, you're essentially resetting your hormones and you feel like the cut is easier, like it's not going as long. And refeed days are especially important, especially useful on the long cuts. So a long cut can be anywhere from like 16 weeks. This is usually like a bodybuilding prep, it's like 16 weeks. Refeed days are extremely important. The days where you have the high carbs and you keep these high carbs for approximately 1 day. And now the question is, how often are we doing these refeed days? We're doing them every 7 to 14 days, though it is important to understand that leaner individuals who are deeper into their cut, or perhaps they're just in better shape, leaner individuals will need refeeds more commonly. So I'll say frequency increases if you're leaner. That's of course. So every 7 to 14 days. Perhaps the leaner guy does it every 7 days. He's in a bodybuilding competition, whatever, like a high carb day. The guy who's not as lean, maybe he's not cutting for nearly as long, can get away with every 14, 15 days, half a month. So that was refeed days. Very, very important. It actually helps you figure out how well you're doing on your cut, if things going good, if shit's hitting the fan. Very good to basically gauge your progress. So refeed days, basically, why does this tie into not losing muscle on a cut? Well, when you do the refeed day for the next 1 to 3 days, your workouts will feel really good because you'll be all fueled up again. It's going to make it easier to cut. Easier to cut means you're training better. And once again, training better, we already know, you lose less muscle on a cut. So that was my 3 points on how to not lose muscle while cutting. Number one, change up your routine accordingly. Resi stands for reps, exercises, sets, and intensity. So right here we see reps decrease, exercises stay the same, though our compound exercises go down by approximately 50%, our sets decrease because we can't recover as well, and our intensity absolutely stays the same. Very important that our intensity stays the same. I cannot stress that enough. Intensity staying the same, once again, goes back to point number 2. Do not auto-regulate. Do not think that you're weaker just because you're on a cut. You could push the same amount of weight and stop getting in your head. So that's point number 2. Point number 3, how to not lose muscle while cutting. Learn proper nutrient timing, so high carbs prior and after the workout. The anabolic window exists, though it doesn't exist for proteins, it exists for carbohydrates. So, number 3, learn proper nutrient timing. And then bonus, incorporate refeed day. Refeed day means refuel, means recarb, means reset. Okay? So just before this video ends, top link in the description is DBT Advanced. It's basically like this channel, but next level niche information for advanced guys who want to take their lifting to the next level. It's like elite level tips that most lifters never find out. So yeah, that's top link in the description. Check that out. I think it's a great place. This was exactly how to not lose muscle while cutting. I think I gained muscle while cutting. A lot of people say it's BS. But using these methods, you can see the same results right here. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.